Well, Kristen, you're right next to me. Flat-chested. Do you want to talk a little bit? Round of applause for flat-chested. Everybody enjoy it? All right, how'd you get Luke Perry on your film?
That was.
I was gonna be general, and then I was like, I'm just curious. You gotta really talk it.
Okay, sorry. I'm shy. I know it wouldn't seem that way from my film, but Steve Jones is a producer here in town, and he works at DePaul with me and knew I was doing this project and passed the script along. And Luke called, and I was at a friend's house, and he just called me up on my cell phone, and I thought he was being very complimentary, so I told my friend, like, oh no, he's passing on it. And then he said he would love to do it. So it was pretty simple. He read the script and liked it.
So this is the thing, though. Like, the phone number is on your phone. If I don't recognize the phone number, I'm kind of like, I'm gonna let this go to voicemail. Oh, he texted first. Was like, hey, it's
Luke Perry. I'm gonna call you. So he gave like a little heads up. Yeah. I was at a friend's house and got a text that said, hey, it's Luke Perry. I'm about to call you.
Do you still have the text?
I lost my phone.
Oh, okay. Oh, those jerks. Because that'd be one of those where you're like, no, screw this dude. This is some 213 number. I don't want to deal with this. And they're like, oh.
It was Luke Perry, yeah.
Very cool. So JJ, now I'm gonna hand this. There we go. So the film that opened, Baby Mary. I'll enjoy it, Baby Mary. Very much. I mean, it's such a fascinating film. I mean, I just want to let you speak to it. If I'm straight, no actors in this film, correct? And how did all of it come together? And it just seemed, you know what it was? It's like there's those parts where you just let these characters go, but then there was also this voice that was kind of bringing the story together very tightly.
Chris Swanberg approached me with the script, and she was a former school teacher, for those of you that don't know, and she ran into this problem where a coworker of hers had a colleague that at like 10 years old brought a baby home because he saw he was being mistreated, and it just kind of resonated with her. And it also speaks to the epidemic of teenage pregnancy and how we have programs in place to help pay for these children and, with welfare and assistance, but we don't have anything to really educate these women on how to be real parents. And it just kind of spoke to how a young girl who really should be out playing with her dolls and her friends saw this baby that was being mistreated and thought that if this girl that was arguing about nothing can raise a child, she could also. So, it just kind of speaks to the community and how we need to be more proactive in providing education for young parents.
How'd you go about casting it? Or I don't even know how when I heard how it came together, I was like, I don't even know how that could possibly happen.
Yeah, so Chris wanted it to be sort of a true felt story and kind of bring someone that didn't really have an acting background but could speak and relate to the story. So we held a bunch of casting calls at local community centers, different high schools. She reached out to some of her colleagues, and we had open castings to where people just came in and auditioned, and the young girl, Takaya, she just really resonated with the role, and she was able to follow Chris's direction, and we all saw a spark in this girl, and we were like, this is the girl that we're going to cast in this film. And everyone else just really resonated with the role. And that fight was kind of scripted, and Chris just said, what would you do if you were in this situation, and roll camera. So that's kind of how all that
Don't hit anybody.
Exactly.
Almost.
There was no stunt
Almost,
coordinator.
Right? I'll pass the mic along to Kristen there. Kristen had Powerless, the wonderful animated piece. I love this film just so much because you made a statement. And it was just a simple statement. I love that woodpecker. I'm watching that woodpecker. I'm like, this poor woodpecker. You're just fascinated. So for you, did you have a personal connection to the subject matter, or what led you to say, this is a simple story that I want to tell?
Well, Well, that's
Or just say whatever you want about the film if that's a bad question. It's just do your thing.
Well, the woodpecker is the heart of the film.
The woodpecker.
I work not necessarily with like a straight script or story, but I like to think that I work kind of in an experimental narrative where I kind of am expressing more ideas and playing with the balance of things. I'm very interested in how technology physically impacts our environment, but I also like to think of it, it's a lot about how. Sorry, I'm really nervous.
It's okay. If it makes you feel any better, there's a giant spotlight on you, burning your eye sockets.
I usually work in the studio, holed out by myself, so it's a very loose narrative, and I usually change it while I'm working. So it wasn't necessarily a scripted story, but it was supposed to play with the ideas of how certain technologies, while necessary for the way we survive, also impact the environment and ourselves as well.
So good, so good. And other filmmaker, real quick, Jennifer Reeder, who directed A Million Miles Away, she was here for the whole first half. Hopefully you guys got to meet her. She had a little emergency with her kids in Northwest Indiana and had to basically just haul ass back home. So, but everything's fine, but she had to run home. So if you have any questions for Jennifer or anything like that, just shoot me an email and I'll just pass it along to her and make an intro. Liz Kaar, the wonderful editor of On Beauty. We all enjoyed On Beauty. Wonderful, wonderful film. I always feel like the editor is the backbone of any well-told story. So I'm just so excited that you're here tonight and just talk about the undertaking of trying to bring this whole story together, try to find that kind of narrative thread in it and bring this film to the screen.
Yeah, I like to think editors are the backbone of stories, not just because it's self-serving. Just kidding. But yeah, it was interesting because On Beauty originally was supposed to be a feature film, and we actually have another story that got cut out. So in the process, sorry, it feels
we got you. Louder is better than quieter. That's okay. All right, we got you covered.
In the process, we had more of longitudinal stories for each character, but when we shrunk it down to a short, we kind of clipped some of the stories and made it kind of more of a portrait for each character, which I think works better for a short film. And it's interesting when you make that decision when you have a feature in your hands and you're like, does it work better as a short or a feature? And we just felt that with telling each of these stories, you got to the heart of them pretty quick, and so we decided to make it short.
Cool. So now I just want to open it up to the audience a bit. We'll do 4 or 5 questions, and let's just chat a little bit. And then we're going to go over to the Peasantry. They have all this great food out there that's like amazing. It's like duck fat popcorn and all this great stuff. And we're just going to have a great time. All right, yep.
Me?
Yes.
I have a question for Kristen, for Powerless. So I know you kind of touched on this briefly, but like how much work do you put into like coming up with the script of some sort, even if it completely changes throughout the process? Like, what's your pre-filming conceptualization like?
How much work goes into the script as you're animating it?
Well, I definitely put together a storyboard that has most of the scenes built in. It's just that when I'm building and when I'm working, things change, like based on what I really can achieve technically and physically, and sometimes the idea just while I'm working on it also changes a little bit. I might think something, probably a lot like editing, but I sort of do it while I'm shooting. But other than that, I do spend quite a bit of time on the story on the forefront and try to give myself more time because it's a very important aspect of making something. So it's not an afterthought when I'm building, but yeah, it's a little bit more malleable.
It was awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
She also said it was awesome. I don't know if you guys heard I'm going to go to the back. I can't see you, so if you have a question, just be confident and speak it. Really? Mom?
I don't have a question.
Okay.
I teach modeling
a wonderful statement.
Yeah. Can I just say, Joanna Rudnick, who's the director, who can't be here because she's in California, but she actually has the BRCA1 mutation, and she came to the making of On Beauty through her feature film on In the Family, and what
Just so we're straight, the mutation, that's the breast cancer.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
It's shorthand for you, but people gotta know it's breast cancer mutation.
Yeah, the one featured in the short film. And she was drawn to making the film because her mutation, you couldn't see it on the, it was on the inside, and she came across Rick's exhibition and she was like, wow, this is so amazing that this photographer is really showcasing and having people accept their mutation that's on the outside. And I thought your film did a beautiful job about like the work that it takes to kind of like come to terms with that.
I'll have a question then for you, Kristen. What was the toughest part for you about this whole process with this film? Because it was such a long journey. What do you think was the toughest part, and how'd you overcome it?
The toughest part was the unexpected part. So I shot this 2 summers ago, and about a month before we shot, I have 2 sisters, and the eldest one was diagnosed with cancer. It was found in her ovaries, and it's the breast and ovarian cancer gene. And a week and a half later, my other sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I shot it while they were both going through treatment, and they both had surgery right after we got done shooting, and then I had to have the gene test like a few weeks later. So it became a lot more personal than originally I anticipated. And a lot of people said to put it off, and my sisters were the 2 biggest champions of thinking that it was all happening for a reason and to get the story out there. They're both 2 years survivors so far.
JJ, I want to just jump ahead, and then I'm giving you time to think. We have time for 2 more questions, so think of some. That's cool. I'm really tired of the sound of my own voice. But JJ, you have a feature coming out that you worked on with Chris called Unexpected. Comes out in July. Some similarities there's a similar thread between Baby Mary and Unexpected. Do you want to talk about that and just talk a little bit about Unexpected so we can support it and buy it?
Yeah, well, Unexpected is opening. Well, it opens in New York June 24th, but it'll be released nationwide.
That's not a real city, so
just in case anyone's in New York on June 24th, there's something to do. But it'll open here and on VOD and nationwide July 21st. I think Unexpected may be the girl when she grows up and go to high school. Yep. Because she was more conscious about the child so young. So it just, can't get into Chris's head, but it may just be a continuation. And also, Unexpected is semi-autobiographical because it is kind of Chris's story. And I think that Unexpected kind of deals with 2 people that face the same situation, but have different circumstances surrounding it. And in Unexpected, the 2 lead characters bond through their experience, and everything else around them tends to fall away. And so it also speaks to the point that we're all people, we all have the same experiences. Our circumstances change, but we all get scared, we all have situations that we face, and just the common ground that we're all human and, get along.
Totally. So, and on that note, I always say, and I say this every month if you're new to the fest, but the best way to support Midwest made films is to buy Midwest made films. You have to buy them. Just buy them. Because the best way to continue to get films made here is if we always buy them. If there's a paying audience for films that are made here, I promise you they'll continue to get made and they'll continue to get distributed. So that leads me to 2 quick things. One, I know this looks like I have a speech. I'm just gonna thank a bunch of sponsors really quick, if that's cool.